The American Revolutionary War, a fight for independence. The American Revolutionary War, also known as the American War of Independence, was a pivotal conflict between Great Britain and its 13 North American colonies. The war, which lasted from 1775 to 1783, resulted in the colonies breaking away from British rule and establishing the United States of America. This struggle was not just a military conflict, but also a revolution of ideas centered on concepts of liberty, self-governance, and human rights. Background: the road to revolution. By the mid-18th century, the relationship between Great Britain and its American colonies had grown increasingly strained. The British Empire, having emerged victorious from the 7 Years' War, 1756 to 1763, found itself burdened with massive debt. To alleviate this financial strain, Britain imposed a series of taxes and regulations on the colonies, which many colonists viewed as unjust and oppressive. The Stamp Act, 1765. This law required colonists to pay a tax on printed materials such as newspapers, legal documents, and playing cards. It was met with widespread protests and the rallying cry, "No taxation without representation." The Townshend Acts, 1767. These acts imposed duties on imported goods like tea, glass, and paper. Colonists responded with boycotts and increased resistance. The Boston Massacre, 1770. Tensions boiled over in Boston when British soldiers fired on a crowd of protesters, killing 5 colonists. The event became a symbol of British tyranny. The Boston Tea Party, 1773. In protest of the Tea Act, which granted the British East India Company a monopoly on tea sales, colonists dumped 342 chests of tea into Boston Harbor. The Intolerable Acts, 1774. In response to the Boston Tea Party, Britain passed a series of punitive measures, including the closure of Boston Harbor and the suspension of self-governance in Massachusetts. These actions galvanized the colonies, leading to the formation of the First Continental Congress in 1774. Delegates from 12 colonies, Georgia did not attend, met in Philadelphia to coordinate resistance and assert their rights. The war begins, 1775 to 1776. The Revolutionary War officially began on April 19, 1775, with the battles of Lexington and Concord in Massachusetts. British troops sent to seize colonial arms and arrest rebel leaders were met by local militias. The shot heard round the world marked the start of open conflict. Second Continental Congress, 1775. The colonies convened again in Philadelphia, where they established the Continental Army and appointed George Washington as its commander-in-chief. Early battles: Battle of Bunker Hill, June 17, 1775. Although the British won this battle, they suffered heavy casualties, boosting colonial morale. Invasion of Canada, 1775 to 1776. American forces attempted to capture Quebec, but were ultimately repelled. Common Sense, 1776. Thomas Paine's pamphlet, Common Sense, argued for complete independence from Britain, swaying public opinion in favor of revolution. Declaration of Independence, July 4, 1776. Drafted primarily by Thomas Jefferson, the Declaration proclaimed the colonies' independence and outlined the philosophical justification for their rebellion. The war escalates, 1776 to 1778. The early years of the war were marked by a series of British offensives and American struggles to hold their ground. New York and New Jersey Campaign, 1776 to 1777. British forces, led by General William Howe, captured New York City, forcing Washington to retreat. Washington's daring crossing of the Delaware River and victories at Trenton and Princeton revived colonial hopes. Saratoga Campaign, 1777. British General John Burgoyne's plan to isolate New England backfired when American forces, led by General Horatio Gates, defeated him at the battles of Saratoga. This victory convinced France to formally ally with the United States, providing crucial military and financial support. Valley Forge, 1777 to 1778. Washington's army endured a harsh winter at Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. Under the guidance of Baron von Steuben, the Continental Army emerged better trained and disciplined. The turning point, 1778 to 1781. With French assistance, the tide of the war began to turn in favor of the Americans. Southern Campaign, 1778 to 1781. The British shifted their focus to the south, hoping to rally Loyalist support. Key battles included Camden, Kings Mountain, and Cowpens, where American forces, led by generals like Nathaniel Greene and Daniel Morgan, scored significant victories. Siege of Yorktown, 1781. The war's decisive battle occurred at Yorktown, Virginia. American and French forces, led by Washington and General Rochambeau, trapped British General Charles Cornwallis. Cornwallis surrendered on October 19, 1781, effectively ending major combat operations. The Treaty of Paris, 1783. The war officially ended with the signing of the Treaty of Paris on September 3, 1783. Key provisions included British recognition of American independence, establishment of U.S. boundaries from the Atlantic Ocean to the Mississippi River, withdrawal of British troops from American territory. Legacy of the Revolutionary War. The American Revolutionary War was a transformative event in world history. It not only established the United States as an independent nation, but also inspired other revolutionary movements, such as the French Revolution. The war's ideals of liberty, equality, and self-governance continue to shape American identity and global politics.